Welcome, dear listener, to another episode of the Unrelenting Alchemist. Today, we are going to talk about the tablets found in the Danube region, in Serbia, in Transylvania, Eastern Europe. And they predate many of the findings in Sumeria and Mesopotamia. People are hailing this on the internets as language before language, that now somehow the Sumerians have been usurped. But that's all a big myth. It's meant to get clicks on YouTube videos. It's not actually what archaeologists, AI, and other scientists and linguistics have concluded, right? The fact remains that early symbols from the Neolithic and Copper Age cultures, such as those found on the Tărtăria tablets, the Vinča symbols, or the Dispilio tablet, do not meet the linguistic criteria to be classified as true writing systems. Let's break it down, because we're going to mirror the scholarly consensus in historical linguistics and actual archaeology. Here's some key points from this analysis. There's a lack of verbs or syntax. Early symbol systems lacked grammatical complexity. A true written language needs verbs and syntax to convey events and relationships, not just objects or quantities. There's very jumbled notches versus actual structured writing. Many markings on these Copper Age artifacts are unordered, and they're notches that just seem to be isolated ideograms. As has been noted with the Dispilio tablet, the randomness suggests that this is a proto-symbolic communication rather than actual linguistic intent based on an organization's set of rules. Let's go to the Sumerian evolution to see how a language really develops. We have the development of writing in Sumeria in this very clear trajectory that I'm going to talk to you about. Around 9000 BCE, you have these clay tokens representing goods. Around 4000 BCE, you have these seals with standard shapes. Around 3500 BCE, you have proto-cuneiform with numerals. Around 3000 BCE, you have logograms, which are combining numbers and nouns, and this is great for inventory or trade. Around 2500 BCE, you have flow grammar with verbs, subjects, and modifiers. So, what about these symbols that people are rushing to say that this is some sort of language? Well, they're misclassifying them. The Vinča and Danube symbols, and they're beautiful, don't get me wrong. They're probably mnemonic, maybe even ritualistic, although that hasn't been proven. But they don't exhibit the recursive structure and repetition necessary for true writing. Many likely served for very practical or symbolic functions, like marking ownership or quantity, but not enough to be something that was in a widely accepted cultural language, right? And so this image here that you see up on your screen, which, people are using the symbols they found to kind of put that there to make it look like it's organized, but it's not, right? This has been organized for typographic or reconstruction purposes, but these marks are very highly stylized. They include many geometric repetitions. They lack a discernible syntax. In other words, they try to make them look important, but there's no actual meaning that can be found. Even when the AI analyzes it, they don't find any patterns. These just seem to be random symbols. And so you have to ask yourself, why don't the symbols on the Danube tablets count as a real written language? Because if they're from about 5000 BCE, that means they beat the Sumerians, right? But the symbols on the Danube tablets, like the Vinča and Tărtăria tablets, although they look interesting, they just don't show the things we need to call them a real written language. There are no full sentences. They're just random marks and shapes. Real writing, as I explained earlier, has to use verbs and show actions, like the man runs or she eats food. But these tablets only show pictures or lines without any grammar. Also, real language repeats words and follows rules, but the symbols on these tablets don't appear in regular patterns. They're scattered. They don't repeat in ways that are helpful to us to make us understand what their meaning is. Some of the marks might just show numbers or declarations. Real writing systems like those in ancient Sumeria, which are recognized as the beginning, started simple but became detailed and organized with time, using symbols for both things and actions. The Danube tablets don't show any of that kind of progress. So while they may be old, and while they might seem important, and it would actually give a win to Europe, unfortunately, this doesn't write down ideas like a full language. And so modern linguistics and archaeology are still going to uphold that the Sumerians of Mesopotamia created the first true writing system. Others, like the Egyptians, the Harappans, and the Chinese, follow independently. That's the order. These don't count. Thank you for joining me in the Sacred Hour. This has been the Unrelenting Alchemist. And remember, walk wisely, walk bravely, and when the dark calls, answer not with fear, but with fire and light. And if I don't see you, just remember, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.